Hello, everybody. This is Chris with another CIRF report, September 8th to the 14th. And if you have looked up into the sky, you might have noticed that the moon is getting fairly full. So we've got a full moon this week, and it's in Pisces. So it's this desire for completion. Get into position. We're going to surf the waves, the cosmic waves. Probably spent too long on that song, so we'll get another strike. But here we are with the overall triangulation for the influence. Pretty well overlapped, as you can see, high congruency score. In the astrology, which is represented by the magenta circle or oval, it's the full moon in Pisces. We have a Mercury retrograde, meaning now that we'll have 6 total retrogrades. And then we got Uranus still over the North Node, square over to Saturn, which is tightening. We have Venus square Mars, making a T-square first part of the week. And then a nice, grand, easy Earth trine that's going to really make things a lot smoother, I think. Or it's going to smooth over these rough patches that we're going to have, like with the T-squares and whatnot, and the craziness of the full moon. And then, so right in the middle then is this nearing completion. That's the I-Ching 64. It's the last hexagram of the I-Ching. And so we also have a full moon in the last sign of the zodiac, Pisces. So isn't that interesting? So it's all directly overlap. We slap the I-Ching circle in blue right in the middle of the astrology because that's front and center. The full moon is. And then the Dreambot comes in with a very Pisces thing. So people, places, Pisces is connected. And now it is curious that we have like a travel theme as well. I think that speaks more to the grand Earth trine. And we also have the Venus square Mars, which is sort of the people thing. So it's in the middle with the full moon, but a little bit over to the side, expanded out because it covers more topics in the astrology. But otherwise, we've got a nice tight configuration here. The influence is as confirmed by the I-Ching, we are damn near the end. Okay, let me back up a little bit. That was more of a prediction. And what we found in doing a lot of these CIRF reports, this I-Ching doesn't it, just like the dreams, they don't necessarily accurately predict events at specific times. It's more of an energy. It's a feeling. Okay. So we're feeling like it's the end. We're feeling like we want completion. We have a desire for this cycle to end, this pendulum to swing the other direction, which we've been talking about for a long time. So this desire for completion has never been higher than this week because of all those things we talked about. Okay. Now, will it be the end? I don't know. Some people are saying yes. Some people have predicted every single month for the last 2 years. So I don't know. But let's move on, all right? Let's get started. If you haven't yet subscribed, we are over at YouTube. Subscribe there. Also, go to Rumble, or if you prefer Rumble, we're over there as well and growing. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for everybody's support on both platforms. And just a brief synopsis on our awesome comments. Highlights include Ravi with I-Ching talked about extended family, gave me goosebumps, and she put it all together and said, take care and help with the community. And then following her dreams and journaling, take action on issues that matter. And she says, it is just so amazing how all this aligns. Awesome to hear. Not for me to say, shout out there. I'm I'm definitely feeling the confusing energy being tossed and thrown all over the place. I'm not so sure that this week is going to be much different. Not for me to say. Especially with the full moon right in the middle of our surf week, that'll shake things up. But shout out to you for the comment. And Tarif then says, I posted a request in your Telegram chat. By the way, if you want to get to Telegram, there's a link down below in the show notes of this report on both Rumble and YouTube. Anyway, there's a veteran who needs help in Ukraine and is named Henry Bryant Lanier. That goes back to our dream bot. So anyway, look at her request, and if you can help, try to get hold of Terry. And you can find that on Telegram. And he's had his rights as a U.S. citizen violated, as we all have. That's according to Terry, and I agree. And then David puts his 2 cents in for the life of Brian, that back to the Dreambot. I want everybody to chat on the Dreambot. We're going to cover these every week. But it sure does help to, it's not just me interpreting. That's only one person's interpretation. We can get so much better interpretation if we are all included in that. So don't be afraid to slap those comments down about Dreambot especially. And John Doe wins again. That's 2 weeks in a row. Says, thank you again for all you do. You create the collective resonance. I am witness to that. Much love and respect. Thank you, John. That was very kind that you said you do create collective resonance. I really, really appreciate that. That really sank deep into my heart when I read that. So I appreciate that observation. Let's get into the Dreambot, all right? Top word, and it's not very high surge score. That one has me curious. I think there's a site that went down when we were doing this Dreambot run. And the top word is toilet. There's obviously bowl somewhere in there, and that's a couple of weeks in a row as well. Toilet's been in there. Now toilet rises to the top. Now what's so strange, I just had about a week saga of a toilet issue in my own house and toilet bowl. And so fixing that took about a week because we had to keep troubleshooting, replacing one part, trying it out, replacing another part, trying it out. And long story short, did fix it, and then we have toilet show up in the Dreambot. So it is sort of a collective influence right now. I'm convinced of that. And then metaphorically, because dreams work in metaphors as well, right? Probably the majority of dreams are metaphors. And we have a toilet bowl out in the collective. We have a literal cesspool. And there's no prediction here that I can see, but let's go through the memes. So toilet bowl is at the top. Now that particular meme is not supported down below, in my opinion, but audience, spectators, and places full of people. So platforms, dorms, stands, like audience stands, apartments, filled. These are where people are. And then we have the blue, which is travel, countryside, natural, spell, like taking a time. Spell can be an incantation or it can be a time period. And so taking a break with bags, arrive, beyond, all that stuff, all the memes of travel. Well, take it or leave it. That's, in my mind, more of a Sagittarius thing. So we can look at that as we go along here in the astrology. How about that? Let's darken it up. Oh, I forgot to come back. Take off the Zoom and let me get a sip of coffee. All righty. This is our overview, and it's hard to see, but you've got all these lines that are Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, and then it will be Mercury all in retrograde. They got a little red line at the bottom, and none of those end until Mercury. Mercury is the first one that ends their retrograde at the end of September, so it's about 2 weeks. And it's going to retrograde back into Virgo. Okay. And then we have Mercury opposed Jupiter. We already experienced that opposition last surf week. And then in the next surf report, you're going to feel that yet again because Mercury goes retrograde. And then we've got a tightening happening on yin versus yang, or male versus female, Venus square Mars. That's not in our surf week, but that's strengthening as we go, and it's going to be part of our T-square. So let's get into our day-by-day breakdown. Thursday the 8th, we have a couple of things that are developing. Number one, we have the full moon that is completing its cycle. It's going to complete into the last sign of the zodiac, Pisces, right next to Neptune. So that's developing, as you can confirm when you look up into the sky. A waxing moon. And then another thing that's developing, the biggest news, is this grander trine that's gonna hang out for a couple of weeks. So it's not a moon-based trine. It is a slower planet. Now, sun's not really a slower planet, but you got two of these are a slower planet. And then you've got two of these faster planets that are going to continue. So it's going to start with the sun, the grander trine, on just after the full moon. I think we'll look at that when it actually starts. But we'll have it on the sun. So we have ego, power, and change. And then it's going to transition over to Venus. So it'll continue the grand Earth trine. But right now, Venus is Venus square Mars, and it's just starting. So you get about 6 degrees of orb off of this square. So there are a lot of different archetypes we can look at. For example, yin versus yang. I already talked about two of them, male versus female, and it is versus because it's pressurized. It's square. It's conflicted. So men conflicted with women. You get yin versus yang possible. You have harmony versus rational arguments. These are direct extremes, right? And they're at odds with each other. So there's more conflict. When you got an influence that is like that, you have more misunderstandings. You have more digging your heels in, although Mars, the argumentative Mars, is more communicative and adaptable with Gemini. So you got that going for us here. But you could also go sound money versus impulsive purchases. There's a lot of ways you can skin that metaphor. And then you have all roads leading to the age of Aquarius, helping out this age of Aquarius to manifest and unfold. The age of Aquarius, all things Aquarius, is knowledge, higher level knowledge. You got disclosure, you got freedom, independence, individuality, and just leave me alone, And we are Aquarius is part of the ecosystem. It wants to be part of the ecosystem, but in my own individual way. We don't subscribe to the Piscean way of life, which is collectivism and sacrificing your individuality. We are wanting to be individuals as part of the collective. Aquarians can see the big picture. So why is this all roads lead to age of Aquarius? Well, because it's a double pressure here with, actually quadruple if you can include the North Node, which doesn't have any lines in this program. Uranus over the North Node squared to Moon and Saturn together. And so pressurizes this system. It's a system of rebellion and change, versus keeping everything the same, but a lack of Aquarian, a lack of disclosure and independence. And so these things are at odds. Uranus is conflicted away from home. And so this is a very pressurized, if now we include the emotions in there, very pressurized, and it's tightening. So Uranus in a retrograde, Saturn in a retrograde, tightening. Let me turn that off. I forgot to do that. There we go. Now, so that concludes Thursday the 8th. Friday the 9th, we are looking at a T-square as we prepare for the full moon. The update on the moon now is in Pisces in its terminal transition to that full moon status, with a lot of oppositions here, a lot of inconjuncts, a lot of adapting. But the big news is the T-square on Mars. And it is short-lived. So we've got, it's going to end just before the full moon. So next slide, you're going to have the full moon, and you're going to see what looks like a T-square, but it's not, because it doesn't have that opposition needed. But the Venus square Mars is getting tighter, and we're going to feel trapped in this having to do something. We're going to have a lot of plate spinning. If you got Mars in Gemini, we're very antsy. Got to be doing something. Got to be kind of more task-oriented rather than people-pleasing. But it is adaptable. And the downside there is you can easily sign up for too much in this environment, in this influence. So keep that in mind. It is a trap. So one thing you can do is go to the opposite end of the spectrum. And now you've got what the Dreambot calls for, which is sort of travel, expansion. It's all the Sagittarius stuff. So go have fun. If you want to do that on Friday the 9th instead of the T-square, that's warranted. And then on Saturday, the 10th at 4:58 a.m., might as well round that up to 4:59 a.m., we've got a perfect full moon. And in my world, in central time frame, I'm going to be able to see this moon setting, hopefully, if I'm up at 4:59 a.m., which I might be. I've been known to get up around that time on occasion. And so if you can see this, the 17 degrees and 24 degrees, meaning that moon is in an orb in conjunction with Neptune. So this makes it extra dreamy, extra mystical, extra collectivism, extra transpersonal, which includes more of the metaphysics. It can be telepathy. You might be able to be reading people's minds or predicting things in the future, and all of a sudden they come true. Things that are unexplainable happen around these kinds of configurations. And see, it looks like still a T-square on Mars, but we don't have that thing there now. It is still a focal point, though, unfortunately. So even though there's technically no T-square in its perfect sense, you're still going to feel this sort of trapped energy on Mars, either a focus on it or can't go there because it's so conflicted. As you all know, the full moon in any zodiacal sign is going to produce this sort of crazy energy. And by crazy, what I mean is unpredictable. It makes people act unpredictable, which crime goes up, and crime's already been going up. So, wow, right? So be on the lookout for unpredictability. And now here's the irony of Pisces full moon makes you want to feel connected. So you're going to be probably a little bit more social to do that, the unpredictability, even the introverts. But as everyone else feels the full moon energy, they get more unpredictable, which is a lot more anxiety when you can't predict. And this is going to be in the unconscious realm. So for some reason, a lot of us are just going to feel anxious all of a sudden. And this is probably what's causing it. Is if you're out and about, some of you have social anxiety. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about the uptick in unpredictability of other people. That's going to weigh heavy on the psyche and go, I'm just more anxious right now. Well, that's probably what's happening. And then Pisces completes our cycle in this lunar cycle. We've got a full moon that is going to finish the half of the zodiac and complete and go into the new moon in a couple of weeks. And so this is the last of the last, but it's not the last of the last. It's the last of this cycle. And then we start all over again. But that's the Pisces way. Is this the end? It is the Chicken Little of the zodiac. Is this the end? So I'm not saying we're predicting the end of the world. We're feeling like we want the end of the world, or we're feeling the end that way. It's hard to see that this is also the beginning, right? But that's the nature of the universe. When it feels like the end, it's just the beginning and maybe massive change. Sunday, the 11th. So for the next 2 weeks, the Grand Earth Trine is official now with the Sun, ego, Pluto, power, and Uranus over the North Node, future, and change. So massive change. It's easy. Massive power, massive death, rebirth. That matches the Piscean Chicken Little, doesn't it? Death and rebirth. And that never feels very good because it's massive change. And then you've got the ego in this, the Virgo ego. So the discretionary, the detail-oriented thinker. Ego, power, and change, all easy energy to each other. That can be very profound. It can be very content-inducing, very smooth, because we're talking about earth signs. So very grounded, very much more in the real world, in the material world. You can see things you didn't see before. You can experience things from a present moment stance. It's very easy, and that's where your power is. Pluto's there. The big hitters are here. Okay, and that's going to last a couple of weeks when it jumps over to Venus. So it's going to jump over to Venus on the 19th of September, and then it's going to add a new moon. I actually brought in the chart for you because in Libra, you're going to see this is in 2 weeks. I'm just fast forward. This is the last day of the Grand Earth Trine, and it's on Venus. It looks like there's 3 of them or 4 of them altogether, but technically the Grand Earth Trine is just on Venus. The last day of that, and it just so happens to be on this new moon of Libra. And see, calculating really quick, we're also in orb of both of these. So Venus and Mercury are in conjunction with the new moon and sun. So that's the chart for a couple of weeks out on the 25th. And then after this, the Grand Earth Trine ends. So there you have it. Oh, and I've got to move this back. All right. Continuing down on Monday, the big news here, now we're within 1 degree of Saturn square Uranus, which is our rioting and breaking out of the mold and disputing things and just fighting for your uniqueness and fighting for the way things have always been, keeping things the same, not real big change versus change, so police establishment versus us individuals as a collective entity. So there's a lot there. It's within 1 degree, so very tight. Now, here's something that's a little bit moderating, because you got that grander trine, right? So Uranus trine Pluto is apparently very, actually reduces the conflict that you're going to see out in the world. So we have a lot of conflict just right here with Saturn square Uranus, but part of Uranus is moderated by extra power. It's given a lot of power by Pluto and the ego. And so that makes this more peaceful, more conflict. Now you're going to see conflict, right? Because any day of the year, you're going to see conflict. So we're talking about uptick and feeling conflicted and all that. But part of this unique Uranus energy is helped out or smoothed over by the trine, the easy trine over to Pluto. It's given its power, which is a more content way. So yeah, you'll see the riots, you'll see protests, but it's in a moderated, confident power. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. So I'm going to be seeing how that manifests. Tuesday, the 13th, we've got this tightening, just a reminder that it's been tightening all week, which is Venus square Mars. And so those archetypes, even sound money versus impulsive purchases, sound money versus, sound money. It's Venus as the finance in Virgo, so sound money. But Mars in Gemini is sort of the opposite, impulsive and probably over signing up for things, overbuying. On Wednesday, check this out. So a little gift to us, even those squares that we talked about, but now the dominant energy is the trines. And so easing into what's grounded contentment is going to be a lot easier here. Only got 2 degrees away from Venus and Mars in that orb on a square. So watch out for that. But otherwise, you've got the moon. Put your emotional investment into the future and fighting for individuality and change. So that's all very powerful and easy. Now let's get into the I-Ching. The influence is 64, nearing completion. It matches Pisces, doesn't it? Nearing completion is the last hexagram of the I-Ching. It suggests that the ever-spinning wheel of life never reaches a final conclusion. The situation is incomplete, but chaos of the past is giving way to order. The goal is in sight. Nevertheless, you are still treading on thin ice. That was a rhyme. Consider, too, the possibility that you have little information and no experience of what it's like descending the other side of the mountain, because all your attention has been focused on the path going up. The coming situation may seem very strange to you, unlike anything you've ever experienced before, but on the other side of the mountain is where the true mysteries reside. It's not more of the same, people. That's what this is pointing to. Line 1 talks about rushing ahead. Don't do that. Line 2 confirms it by being patient. Line 3, don't be afraid to ask for help. And line 6, conflicts end and it feels good. That is the Pluto-Uranus trine. That's what it's doing. Okay, and then we put all those changes in and we get 55, great abundance. Looking in terms of a solution, in terms of behaviors, we see show benevolence and share the fruits of one's good fortune. Think of good deeds now as a hedge against scarcity in the future. In other words, make good karma. This reading bodes well for the raising of children and the nurturing of a healthy family or any close-knit group. This is interesting because last week we talked about the extended family and how that was threaded through everything. And now the 55, although it's more focused on great abundance and what to do with that abundance, it is commensurate with the close-knit family. So more of the Venus aspect, which matches what we've been talking about. We put this into the conversion chart. This is the full moon conjunct Neptune at 17 degrees, 41 minutes of Pisces, and we get hexagram 22 in the rave, and we get Aquarian solution. So hexagram 22 is grace, and that matches the abundance, great abundance. But at the full moon, at the climax is 17 degrees, 41 minutes of Pisces. The line 1 says second class citizen or second class ticket. The ability to accept and enjoy a subordinate position. The emotional awareness to enjoy the emotional awareness to enjoy a subordinate position. Then on the downside, the inevitable humiliation that comes with claiming a first-class seat with a second-class ticket, where the emotional energy challenges the awareness and can result in humiliation socially. So what we have here is the rave is not saying that you're losing. The rave, the opportunity in this rave line is that you don't have to control the situation. It's both out of your control and it is refreshing because you can just sit back and be in a subordinate position according to the rave. Now, while people are battling for the future of humanity, in my opinion, this is the best place to be, is in a subordinate position to the collective, because nobody does have control of the collective, which is not what they want to hear. But it's the truth. The collective can't be controlled. They can try, but they too are subordinate position. You see what I'm saying? We're all subordinate. And let's stop controlling. This week is a hands-off approach. Let emotional awareness to enjoy a subordinate position. Goes nicely with a grand Earth trine. Goes perfect with that. All right, so here's the solution slide. We've got the two fish in a full moon, and that represents our Pisces. So it's the desire, it's the thought, hey, isn't this the end? No, it's the start of the new. But big energies continue with a full moon in Pisces, a grand Earth trine, Uranus conjunct North Node, and much more, as you already know. Starts the CIRF week with more pressure, conflict, because you got the T-square. Then some craziness at the full moon. So the T-square ends. Full moon comes on as unpredictability with transpersonal kind of stuff, collectivism, connectedness, all your Piscean metaphors. And the week ends with more grounded, pleasant ease with the grander trine. So here's our solution. Remember, we have the I-Ching 55 with great abundance. We have showing benevolence, creating good karma, sharing, nurturing the family is warranted here. And family can be extended to really, really, really good friends. And it's part of your core nucleus. You don't want to be sharing with a bunch of people. You don't want to be oversharing, but you do want to be, according to the I-Ching, the most success that you're going to get this week is in that sharing, and that matches the Pisces full moon. So the rave says grace and second class, not citizen ticket. That was a typo. It's a second class ticket. It's your option. You can use the ticket or not. And the raves, and it can be scary to be in the second class, seat, right? I mean, it's subordinate position. It can be scary to be there if you think you've been in control of your life. And so now, but what I try to see this as, and I spent a lot of time contemplating this particular slide. Obviously not enough with the citizen, but we are looking at what is absolutely real. The grand earth trine looks, and you can feel and you can be in what's real, what's really real. It's opposite of that full moon in Pisces, which is kind of la la land and dreamland, fantasy, what could be the ideal, but we slide into this grand earth trine, which is very easy, and it is subordinate. When we're talking about the collective and where it's headed, we're all subordinate, even them. But they don't want to be, but they are. It's just the way it is. So you can slide into that too. Take a week off of having to control everything, right? Relax. Everything's going to be fine. I promise. And then we have Sidereal Aquarius, unconventional, deep thinker, humanitarian, observer, humanitarian, but very individualistic. It's very, very important to keep our individual traits intact without just succumbing to what everyone else is doing. So this week's solution offers you a chance to be a positive force in this world by being of service. It's a very Piscean thing to do. Be of service. Although the sidereal solution's risk is being too detached and impersonal, the Aquarian archetype gives us a big boost of humanitarian, independent, unique observational viewpoints and ability to ascertain the big picture. With this vantage point, we can easily remain out of the fight and be of service to the collective. Be the change you want to see in the world. The I-Ching recommends being benevolent and sharing your abundance in areas where you are most abundant or gifted. Yes, I forgot to mention that. We're not talking about one particular thing like wealth. We're not saying that you have to share wealth. The I-Ching is talking about areas where you are abundant, and all of us are abundant in something. And we can be abundant in talents, can be abundant in skills, not just money or things. So anyway, share your abundance, and that doesn't have to be things. That can be talents and skills, service. The rave orients perfectly with the full Pisces moon by identifying your subordinate position. No one is above the collective unconscious. Therefore, be of service to it in your personal, unique, ordained, dharmic way. Dharma is your sort of life purpose, your focus area of this life. And be of service to it. This week, you're going to be second-class ticket to be able to be of service. So what I am going to use is I am of great service to the collective by, I'm going to insert what I believe to be my dharma or my life purpose or my talents and skills and fill in the blank with that. And then I'm going to focus on that one individual way or area of life. It could be imagining, it could be predicting. These are more of the transpersonal ways. It could be something very material, like hands-on fixing. I wouldn't say that I'm the best toilet fixer, but I did learn this last week. I don't think I'm going to fill in this blank with being a toilet fixer. It's going to be probably more Aquarian in nature. But you can fill that in however. Some of you are really good plumbers and toilet fixers, and you can put that in there. Some of you will be hands-on. Some of you will be abundance in material things like widgets or money or gold, something like along those lines, very material. And that's not wrong. And there's no obligation either. You're going to have more success this week when you are demonstrating your benevolence and sharing and service. That connects it all, including the Aquarius solution the I-Ching, the Rave Mandala, and the full moon in Pisces, in my opinion. Brings it all together. All right, it is time to end this and start getting ready for this next week. It's going to be big and powerful, very precise stages, a lot of conflict pressure early on as you adjust to the Venus and Mars square. And then in the middle, you're going to shake things up with a very transpersonal Pisces full moon, unpredictability. And then we're going to slide into this ease of the material world, being willing to take a step back and be in a subordinate position and just be of service, right? It's not a sit back and just let everyone else do their thing. This is sit back, but do your thing, okay? And be of service to the collective. All right, everybody, go out and contemplate this CIRF report and then figure out how you're going to employ it. And we will check back in next week with another edition of the CIRF report. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your shares and contributions. I appreciate you. Love and light. We'll see you.